Another Saturday, another insane weekend of college football. We saw 6 ranked teams go down in week 6, 3 of those coming to unranked opponents. And guys, Saturday concluded what has been an absolutely ridiculous first half of the college football season. And that's the beauty of it, guys. If you have loved what you've seen, if you've loved all the upsets, if you've loved the unpredictability, if you've loved the statement victories and the close finishes, then get ready, because we're just getting started. There is so much more football left to play. Yeah, we've completed half the season. We've got a long ways to go and a lot of questions that are going to be answered during that process as well. But today, guys, we are here to break down the, once again, madness of this last college football weekend, the madness of week 6, breaking down everything you need to know, some of the key moments, and of course taking a look at how we did on our predictions as well. So again, guys, welcome back to the Gridiron Expert here on YouTube. Very glad you could join us today. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. That includes, guys, our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. These numbers right here, these are our expert picks. 25-7 on the money line this week. 78% brings our yearly total through 6 weeks, the first half. 230-51 on the money line, hitting over 81% on the money line, and nearly 82% against the spread this week. 6-4, 60% have yet to have a losing week here at the Gridiron Expert. 0 losing weeks so far this season. Overall total 38-25, 60.3%, hitting over 60% of our bets halfway through the season. Take advantage of this, guys. If you haven't signed up for the expert picks, I don't know what you're doing. It's a year-long subscription, guys, so you buy it now, you get it through week 6 of the next year. It's a full 365 days. Take advantage of the picks we are giving you. One of the lowest prices in the country for one of the best marks and best picks in the country. Become a part of our GE Nation. Go check it out over on our website. Again, the link down in the description below. So, guys, I tell you what, it's truly amazing that the money line picks and the against the spread picks have been doing so well in a season that has been so unpredictable and absolutely insane. And we'll start with the madness, guys, in Baton Rouge. Let's start in Death Valley, where number 8 Tennessee, to me, made a statement on Saturday morning. They defeated number 25 LSU 40-13 in Death Valley. And I don't care who you are, I don't care what time the game is. One does not simply go into Death Valley and win by 27 points. You just don't do that. It doesn't matter how good the LSU team is, how bad they are, but the night game, the day game, whatever. And even a night game, personally, guys, wouldn't have helped LSU on Saturday. I mean, the game was over less than 4 minutes in. LSU muffed the opening kickoff, fumbled the opening kickoff, whatever you want to call it. Tennessee recovered. 6 plays later, the Volunteers had a touchdown on the board. Before the 11-minute mark, the Volunteers were already up 10-0. So less than 4 minutes into the game, they were already up 10-0. The Volunteers, 502 yards of offense against LSU, including 263 rushing yards. They held the Tigers to 55 rushing yards. I mean, it was a beautiful display of just pure dominance in Death Valley on Saturday. And now, of course, that sets up the huge matchup next weekend, guys. Tennessee, Alabama, a top 10 showdown in Knoxville. Stakes could not be higher, and they haven't been this high in a very, very long time. And there's a very good chance Tennessee could pull off this upset over the Crimson Tide. But amazing, dominant performance by the Volunteers. If you weren't buying the hype, you need to buy it now, because I know LSU may not have been great, but that's an impressive victory to win by 27 in Death Valley. How about move on to the Big 12? The game of the week, in my opinion, TCU and Kansas, number 17 and number 19. TCU prevailing over the Jayhawks 38-31. But guys, this game had everything. And this game to me truly did live up to the hype. I mean, Kansas, in the top 25 for the first time since 2009, hosting College Game Day for the first time ever, and the Jayhawk faithful, they showed up, they showed out, and Lance Leipold's team showed out. And I don't want to hear too many excuses here. Obviously, it was devastating to see Kansas quarterback Jalen Daniels miss the majority of this game. I think he could have made a difference, but he was not the reason that Kansas lost this game, because their backup quarterback, Jason Bean, was phenomenal. In replacement of Jalen Daniels, he went in, threw for 262 yards and 4 touchdowns. He led Kansas to 17 unanswered points after the Jayhawks got down 10-0. The Jayhawks were actually winning 17-10 midway through the third quarter, but then they never led again after that. The game was just back and forth. TCU would tie it. They took a little bit of a lead, and then Kansas would score, tie it back. And it was just back and forth until TCU scored the game-winning touchdown with 1:36 left. The reason TCU won this game, guys, was first off the great display of athleticism by Max Duggan, but in particular, their star wide receiver, Quentin Johnson, 14 receptions for 206 yards, and Johnson, of course, was the guy that caught the game-winning touchdown with 1:36 left. So Kansas had no answer for him. The Kansas secondary had no answer for Johnson. They had no answer for Duggan. Every time Kansas seemed to need to get a stop, they couldn't get it. So when they tied the game late in the fourth, they needed a stop to maybe go down there, win the game. Couldn't get it. TCU got the game-winning touchdown. Kansas had their opportunity to go back, tie it up, send it to overtime, and I will say that I do think that the Jayhawks got snubbed a little bit there. It looked like a clear horse collar tackle there at the end that was not called, that would have given Kansas a first down instead of putting them on like 4th and 8, whatever it was, deep in TCU territory. Then the ensuing play on that 4th down clearly looked like defensive pass interference or defensive holding on TCU, was not called, and TCU escaped with a 7-point victory. So again, Kansas, I think, should have gotten one of those calls. They may not have gotten it in the end zone, but they should have had their chance to do so. But regardless, the calls were not the main reason Kansas lost. The loss of Jalen Daniels was not the reason why they lost. TCU and their beautiful offensive display, getting a few more stops than Kansas was able to do, is the difference maker in this one. Sonny Dykes has his program, again, undefeated. Huge win over Oklahoma a few weeks ago. Now a huge road win at Kansas. The Horned Frogs might be the best team in the Big 12 right now. And that's a crazy thing to think about. Real quick, sticking in the Big 12, shout out to Texas, defeating Oklahoma 49-0 in the Red River rivalry. Oklahoma, first time they've been shut out since 1998. Their first 3-game losing streak since 1998. Brent Venables becomes the first Oklahoma coach to start 0-3 in conference play. So the Sooners, guys, a top 10 team just a few weeks ago, now 3-3 and unranked. Unbelievable turnaround for Oklahoma. Unbelievable performance by Texas. Yes, we know Dylan Gabriel didn't play for Oklahoma. Don't even know if he could have helped the Sooners on Saturday. The Longhorns were hungry. They were ready to dominate, and that's exactly what they did. So a major shout out to Steve Sarkisian and his squad for a great display both offensively and defensively, getting the largest victory over Oklahoma in program history. So huge win for Texas. Moving on, sticking in the top 25 matchups, guys. We had 3 this week. We've touched on 2 of them. The third was all the way out west. UCLA. Give credit to the Bruins. I mean, what a performance, beating number 11 Utah 42-32, and really should have been a 17-point victory had it not been for that 80-yard pick six with under a minute left. But UCLA, guys, the Bruins, 6-0, their best start to a season since 2005. So give credit, guys. Give credit to Chip Kelly and what he is doing out in LA. This is a UCLA team that not only is a Pac-12 title contender, but could be viewed as a playoff contender, considering they have a lot of games coming up that can still boost their resume. This game was exciting, though, guys. You know, UCLA won by 10. They were up by 17, but they didn't really pull away until the fourth quarter because Utah was actually only down 3 with about 12 minutes left in the game. But UCLA immediately answered just a few plays later with a 70-yard touchdown pass. Then Utah driving again, forced a fumble. UCLA did, recovered it, returned it all the way to the 1. Zach Charbonnet punches it in. That was the dagger, really. If Utah had picked up that first down, scored a touchdown, who knows what could have happened. But that sucked all the life out of the Utes, put UCLA far ahead by 17 points, not comebackable in the fourth quarter. But give credit to the Bruins again, guys. 502 yards of offense, 203 yards on the ground. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, a guy who just seems to be getting better and better each week. 299 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. Zach Charbonnet rushed for 198 yards and a touchdown. Utah simply didn't have an answer for him. Utah defensively did not have an answer for UCLA. They could not stop the Bruins. Could not stop them. So the Bruins, guys, undefeated. It's them and USC and maybe Oregon in that Pac-12 hunt for the playoff. Utah, now having their second loss, is out of that conversation, which is, again, hard to believe considering the Utes were the Pac-12 and playoff favorite within that conference back in the preseason. Again, that's why you never know what can happen. Why preseason rankings and things like that typically don't mean too much. Want to give quick shout-outs real quick to the 3 teams that pulled off the upset over ranked opponents. Guys, remember we said there were 6 top 25 teams that lost. We just touched on the 3 that lost to ranked teams. 3 more lost to unranked teams. Shout out to Arizona State, taking down number 21 Washington 45-38. The Sun Devils scoring 21 points in under 6 minutes in the second quarter. That was what really pulled them away in this game. It was capped off by a 38-yard pick six off of Michael Penix. Washington has now dropped 2 straight games. Arizona State snapped their 4-game losing streak. So Washington, once viewed as a legitimate Pac-12 title contender, was a top 15 team just last week, has now lost to UCLA, Arizona State, and is now out of the rankings. Shout out to South Carolina, taking down number 13 Kentucky by 10, 24-14. Yes, Kentucky did not have Will Levis. We are well aware. But Will Levis doesn't play defense. Kentucky's defense still allowed 356 yards of offense to the Gamecocks. They allowed 179 rushing yards. They were wildly undisciplined. A lot of missed tackles there. Also, Will Levis would not have prevented Chris Rodriguez from fumbling on the first play of the game. He would not have prevented Kentucky from missing a field goal. The Wildcats simply beat themselves. A lot of mistakes for Kentucky in this game. South Carolina took advantage of them, turned in a great performance, especially defensively. Gamecocks getting a signature victory under Shane Beamer, and Kentucky out of the SEC title race with back-to-back losses to Ole Miss and now South Carolina. And then real quick, how about Notre Dame? Give credit to the Fighting Irish, guys. They took down number 16 BYU in Las Vegas, 28-20. Notre Dame's now won 3 straight. Remember when everybody wrote them off after the loss to Marshall? They've now won 3 straight, including an impressive road win at North Carolina, and now this neutral site win over a top 20 team in BYU. And credit to Notre Dame, guys. I mean, they lose their starting quarterback in the second game of the year to Marshall or California, and then Drew Pine comes in here and lights it up. Just lights it up. The Notre Dame offense is thriving. 496 yards of offense. Pine was looking great. 11 of 16 on third down for Notre Dame. They converted 11 of their 16 third downs and held the ball for 40 minutes and 55 seconds. Nearly held the ball for 3/4 of the game. So the offense was staying on the field. They dominated the time of possession. They allowed BYU to sneak back into it. It could have been a much bigger victory for Notre Dame. But regardless, a win is a win is a win. The offense is clicking. The defense held BYU to 280 total yards on the day. This is the Notre Dame team we thought we would see back in the preseason. Yes, 2 losses to start the year, not ideal, especially one to Marshall, but this team is looking better and better each week. They're improving. Don't sleep on the Fighting Irish, who could start to string together a handful of victories over these next few weeks. And then finally, guys, the maybe shocker of the day, number 1 Alabama surviving Texas A&M 24-20. What a game, guys. What a game. And I will say I was the first to be wrong on this. I really thought that Alabama would annihilate Texas A&M. I did not think it would be close. But A&M gave it their all. Credit to the Aggies for that. When Alabama took that 10-point lead in the third quarter, I think a lot of people thought it was over. They're like, okay, they've got breathing room. That was the dagger. Because Bama doesn't blow 20 double-digit leads. I mean, come on. They don't blow double-digit leads. They're fine. They're good to go. But the Aggies just wouldn't go away. Bama continued to try to beat themselves. Alabama, guys, 4 turnovers in this game. And yes, we know they had a backup quarterback in Jalen Milroe. Credit to him, though. I mean, he did what he had to do, 111 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns. Yes, Alabama had 288 rushing yards, but Milroe delivered when he needed to, and especially delivered with his legs. But Alabama, despite the 4 turnovers that resulted in 17 Texas A&M points, despite missing 2 field goals that would have prevented all this drama at the end, was able to survive. Keep in mind, guys, Alabama had that pass interference in the end zone that set Texas A&M up on the 2-yard line with 3 seconds left. 1 shot to pull off another massive upset, just like the Aggies did last year. And Jimbo Fisher drew up an absolute god-awful play. It was a very bad play, a very low percentage play, thrown right to the corner of the end zone. Not the back corner, but the front corner, right at the pylon. It was just a poor play. And everybody was very upset and confused by that call. That's the play you draw when you have a chance to beat the number one team in the country. That's what we decided to go with. It was very confusing. Alabama lucky to survive Texas A&M. They survived without Bryce Young, though. But we do know this, guys. The two games that Alabama has had the biggest scares in, the win over Texas and the win over Texas A&M, the Crimson Tide were undisciplined. Made a lot of mistakes. They weren't making those mistakes against these other teams. They didn't really have them against Arkansas. Didn't obviously have them against the cupcake teams like Vanderbilt and ULM, guys like that. So Texas and Texas A&M, the two games where they almost lost, they were almost trying to beat themselves. Too many penalties, too many turnovers, too many of this, too many of that, missed field goals, etc. They have to play a dang near perfect game next weekend. Bryce Young should be back, healthy, ready to go. Just going to give that Alabama offense a bigger boost so they don't have to rely so heavily on the run. But they're going to need him in a much more disciplined game if they want to be able to take down a top 10 team in Tennessee in Knoxville. That's going to be the game of the week. We'll have more analysis on that here in the next few days. So there you go, guys. Longer today, but God, what a week. What a week, what a week, what a week, and what a first half of college football. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better. Upsets left and right, statements left and right, near upsets left and right. That is what the game is all about, guys, and we are loving every single minute of it. So, guys, again, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. Again, these numbers, guys, are beating out over 80% of the national analysts and handicappers. We're offering these picks to you for one of the lowest prices in the country. Go check it out. Sign up so you can win with us the second half, and then you can win with us the first half of the next year because it's a year-long subscription. Best marks in the country, guys. Go take a look at it. Sign up today. We want you to become a part of our GE Nation. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.